You'll remember in the previous video I talked about anti-rollbar bushes. Well, here's a story that involved a lot of swearing. Don't worry, I'll hold the swearing for this bit. So this is the anti-roll bar. These are the brackets here with the bushes inside. On most normal cars I've worked on before, this bracket will come off, the bush will come off, you can replace those independent of the bar to avoid having to take the whole thing off the car. In this instance, that's not the case. Volvo decided it would be a great idea to bond all of this together, so the bush is bonded to the bar and to the bracket it sits within. So, when the bushes inevitably fail, the only thing you can do is replace the entire bar. Luckily, I have a spare engine to illustrate the point. So Volvo, in their infinite wisdom, bolted the anti-roll bar to the top of the subframe here, just behind the steering. That seems fine, except... what is this? What the bloody hell is this? This is a great big, nigh on 2mm thick bracket that wraps around the anti-roll bar from underneath, close enough that you can't get the anti-roll bar out, just to hold in a little heat shield, which also is somewhat overkill. A good, nice, sort of 1.5mm thick. So, reading around the forum, it turns out the only solution, well, there are two solutions. The first is to drop the subframe completely, take the steering off, remove this bracket, replace the anti-roll bar, and refit in reverse removal. Or, which seems to be the common solution, is to remove this bolt and actually cut this bracket because it is somewhat superfluous to requirements anyway, because this is sturdily mounted from the other side. So, it's a bit Heath Robinson, but I think that's what we're going to end up doing to avoid taking the subframe off yet again. Thanks, Volvo. And voila, one brand new old stock Volvo anti-roll bar. So great, you'd think, except getting those old bars out and getting this new bar in is nothing short of a pain in the... So while I've been buying nice new parts, Richie, the Volvo wizard, may have found me some unicorn parts. These are original Volvo headlight protectors. You can see the part number there, and the other part number just over here. These are so rare, it's incredible, but he never ceased to amaze me in finding them. These aren't actually going to go on the T5 we're doing the manual swap on. These are going to go on the T5R. But yeah, how cool are those? So when you're reassembling things, it's very tempting just to use the bolts that came out. So this one here as an example is one that came out of the strut, which holds it to the hub here. But can I show you why you mustn't reuse these bolts? So this is an example of one of the bolts we removed from this car. And you'll notice very quickly there's something odd about the shape of that. So these are stretch bolts. So they've been put in, they've been tightened up, and they have stretched along the shank of the thread here. Now, you could clean that up. I did one here as an example to show you. You can put a thread cutter down, but because that has stretched and that shank has gone in a bit like an hourglass type shape, if you were to try and run a thread cutter down that, you'll see it's completely truncated that thread, which has taken all of the strength out of it. Albeit, the nut's only going to really go on the end section here, but you can really see how much that waistline has gone in there on the bolt. The chances are you tighten that up and you're going to break that bolt, or you're going to start a small crack that will propagate over time and will fail. And last thing you want is your hubs and your uprights coming apart. So don't clean these up, don't try and thread cut them, don't reuse them, ditch them. These are dangerous. I would always recommend using new, genuine parts. So these you can still get from the dealer for the sake of a few pounds. I'll put the exact price when I can find it on the screen, and I'll put the part numbers in the description. But please, 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 always use new bolts when connecting the hubs and the uprights. Right, today's the day we're going to actually start putting stuff back on the car, and just a small amount of bits to put on. So here goes. So the first job is to fit the anti-roll bar, ideally the right way round, and then bolt it back to the subframe. Cue a little bit of faffing while we get all the tools ready for the job. So anti-roll bar is back in. That was significantly easier than extracting it, and you can see the remnants of the bracket we had to cut off just here. So good riddance. Next, it's on to lifting the subframe back into place now that the anti-roll bar is finally fitted. then to bolt the plates on that brace it to the chassis. Ideally the right way around. May have got this wrong first time.
Yeah, they're going to be labelled.
And just to be sure, you'll notice from the time-lapse that there's a small army of boots walking around the car today. Well, I'm not alone this time, I have some helpers. Namely, Nuff and Greg. Apparently I faff too much, so they've come to help out. On the subject of faffing, I finally finished bolting up the subframe, so it's on to fitting the new lower wishbones, the tie rod ends and the suspension struts. Right, so we've progressed fairly quickly. Yeah. So get by with a little help from your friends. So we have lower arms in, we have steering arms in, we have anti-roll bar in, we have strut towers in. Now Greg is going to insert his very long shaft. So shaft back in with a bit of a wiggle to locate the splines and lock them into place. And then onto the bearing cap for the longer half shaft on the driver's side. Next it's onto the hubs, making sure the lower ball joint is fully home so the pinch bolt will go through. Everything is just finger tight at this stage and we'll go around and torque everything up later. Okay, well, we've made even further progress. And now we have the hub in, we have the drive shafts in, we've just got to tighten up the hub nut, get the steering arm in over here and start reconnecting things like the ABS sensor, which is the wiring for that there, and then it's calipers on, new brake lines in, and we're pretty much done. Cue some fiddling to understand why the tie rod won't go back into the hub, until we consulted the Haynes Book of Lies and discovered that actually the ball joint goes in from the top of the hub, not from the bottom. Unusual. And the all-important job, refitting the Volvo towing accessory, known to me and thee as a strut brace. Well, that's all for this instalment of Project T-5 Rescue. To finish off, enjoy this hyperlapse video of the day's work. And join us again next time for episode 7, where I talk the talk and Greg and Nuff do some stuff. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. You can now follow us on all the social media things. No, seriously, if we can make some money from this, I might actually get more passes out from the wife to go and video messing around with the Automotive Tales fleet. So no, this is important. Like, share and subscribe. Now, do it.